Well, here we are, guys. What a weekend. A weekend of highs, lows, starting with Nathan Cleary getting 2 and Ruben Garrick finishing with 150. We didn't score many SuperCoach points this weekend, did we, Jugas? But we did eat a lot of edibles.
Yeah, I mean, look, edibles probably were the talking point, not the injuries that came out of this weekend, mate. But look, when you start the week with Nathan Cleary 2, fast forward Friday, and then you've got an RTS and a Connor Watson getting injured in the same game. Just injuries across the park everywhere, mate. It's been a pretty strange weekend, and there's only one way you can cope sometimes. And obviously, you found the edible route this week, mate.
It's been a strange weekend, Jugas, and it's going to get a whole lot stranger on this stream, courtesy of our friends over at, they're not even a sponsor. All I will say is, Albo, if you get back in, legalize it and tax it.
It's a good point, Reese. Yeah, look, really interesting week of footy. I know last week, mate, well, actually week 1, you were saying how much you rinsed the bookies out. Week 2, you're a little bit quiet, mate. Check in for week 3. Have the scales even themselves out, mate.
Jugas, what goes up must come down. But guess what, baby? It must come up again. And today, this round, did it ever. And I'll start this little yarn by preaching what we always preach here at SuperCoach Late Mail. And it comes from Cam Wynn. Fuck the bookies. Fuck the bookies. Jugas, you want to hear the yarn?
Mate, tell me, please.
3 legs, okay? 3 legs to worry about here. First of all, we had, I've actually already forgotten that edible's already got its hooks into me.
Did the game start today?
Listen, leg 1, Josh Curran, right? 0.8 ppm through the middle. Turn on the telly, he's on the edge. You think, oh, fuck, Serrato's fucked this at the first opportunity here. But he plays 80. He goes well over Jugas. We're not worrying about it. He goes over in about the 62nd minute, I want to say. Tackled his ass off. Great flopper. I'll tell you that much. Josh Curran doesn't really get a lot of first contact. I digress. Second leg, Hudson Young. Over 50 points. Averages around high 40s in base on the player performance. He's on 40-odd. And he goes over for a try in the 78th minute to put himself over. However, the third leg and most important leg was Jamal Fogarty. Shout out to Dabble, who will probably not be a sponsor after this story, but whoever the fuckwit in the control room was at Dabble, he for some reason gave Jamal Fogarty 3.5 or more points, knowing full well if he kicks 2 conversions, he will go over. Well, it wasn't looking great when it was 40-0 for 60-odd minutes, and we're thinking, we're going to get screwed here. But guess what? As Cam Wynn said, we do the screwing, and fuck the bookies. And Cam's not the only one who's saying it in the chat. We've got Callum Bailey coming in. I agree, Callum. Fuck the bookies. Jugas, your thoughts?
Mate, it's great to obviously get a win on the board. You look at the luck of, unfortunately, notice anyone's not here tonight, Reese. I feel like maybe there was another bloke here who was on the pod last week. Does anyone come to mind? Yeah.
Some dude who may have, cowered out of the stream because he didn't want to face the music about his captaincy decision this week. His name escapes me. I think it was like the Lord Demon Prince of Hedonism, Sakofanoff or something like that.
Yeah, dude. I can't quite remember the bloke, but his punting story today, mate, probably the opposite side of the scale. Yep. Blake Wilson and who was the other try scorer? Blake Wilson and
Iongi,
yeah. To get 4 points, over 4 points combined. You look at that, you're thinking it's 4+, and he's been stung by the bookies. So, yeah, great win for you. And V couldn't happen to a better bloke, mate. That's what you get for not coming to the stream, unfortunately.
Hey, he can't defend himself, and he certainly can't defend his Sam Phil Street captaincy decision. That's for sure.
Yeah, look, that was a strange one, man. I mean, after tunning up last week, it was on the cards against the Bunnies outfit that, they probably should have put more on in the end. But, 2018 out of your captain, I'd be missing on the Sunday stream too. So thoughts out to Socko.
Viewers, those who love the Sock, those who campaign for Socko's Prime Minister campaign coming up. Listen, the reason he is missing isn't necessarily because of Phil Street, because if there a bloke that is willing to face the music, it is the big man himself. But the reason is Socko by name, Socko by nature. Last night, let's just say it got away from him. Speaking of
Yeah,
getting
thoughts
away
out to
from,
you, so,
yeah. Speaking of stuff that got away from us, Jugas, how was your week?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. I think last week I finished with a really beaming, stay positive, guys. Take it easy. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's been a fucking stinker. Yeah, I've been coping this weekend in similar ways to yourself, mate. Look, you start the week, you get a 2 from Nathan Cleary, who I VC'd. Maybe other people didn't. I was a bit desperate on troops this week, trying to free up a bit of cash, but you start the week with that. You get to Connor Watson, Jarrell Skelton, RTS. So, yeah, a tough week. I know a lot of those players are a lot of people we're feeling the pinch with. Even just looking across the leagues, pretty low scoring week compared to what we've seen. Obviously, we have St. Garrick the third, scoring four today. Could have been 5. He didn't chip over at the end. So, yeah, he kind of dragged me above that 1,000 mark, mate. At one point, I was looking pretty grim to go sub 1,000, which I've seen a lot of this week, more so than the first 2 weeks. All my safe path truthers out there. 73 of the best from the Red Demon himself, mate.
Yep.
Gets pumped almost every hit up. So if any bloke deserves a try. And last one, probably Naf White. Doing lots of work in that Roosters pack, man. I think at the start of the year, everyone was looking at, Wong, Naf White. There was a few others being tossed around, and it was kind of, one of these is going to be the right choice depending on what it is. And, Naf White, 87 of the best.
Well, you talk about tossing stuff around. I tell you what, Jugas, when Naf White went over for a try, I was tossing something around. Don't you worry about that,
mate. Yeah, more than just an edible. So yeah, looking at the negatives for my pardon, mate.
Sorry, go ahead. No.
Looking at the negatives for my week, obviously Cleary on 2. That's a bit of an outlier. He gets injured. It's hard to say what to do from there. That'll probably come later in the trade talk. The Metcalf experience in full swing. You warned me about this at the start of the year, mate. I was, waxing lyrical at his performance last week. In a game which they dominated, yes, a real low score and affair to pull out 23. I started him last week with confidence, man. Moving forward, especially as your team gets stronger over the year, he's just not really someone you want in your team. If it's the 21 week or the 100, you're taking someone who maybe pushes 50 to 90 at a similar price. So, yeah, that one is there's probably bigger fish to fry with the injuries at the moment, unfortunately, but just whether he's a play on a weekly basis is just a coin toss. And yeah, Reece Walsh, I'm sure you'll join me on that one when you get into yours, mate. But again, tried hard, but just wasn't finding it.
Yeah, I mean, just on that Luke Metcalf one, I think we both played in week 1. You played in week 2. I didn't. We both played in week 3. That's just the experience, guys. We did sound the alarm in the preseason, I think, saying it could be anything. But look, the thing is, like, his break even's fuck all going into next week. I'll read it out for you because you're too proud to pay for the SuperCoach Gold app.
You get the nice appreciate the gibbers though. He's definitely sending in through the break even stats. Don't stop doing that. Some of us don't want to pay that $20.
I'd rather spend 50 on a mixed doubles game on the Challenger Tour. Yeah, Metcalf's break even will be nothing next week. It'll be 30 odd, but he plays West. Good news is he's 460k, and I'm guessing of course we both got Sanders at hooker and Watson at 2RF, who we'll get to. That means that he could theoretically, with a couple 100k, be switched over to Eli Katoa. But we can get into our trade thoughts later. For me, mate, pretty similar. Happy with Naf White. Happy with not much else, actually. Arthurs goes with his customary try. Terrell May, 73. Shock. But my standout performer, aside from Ruben Garrick, who, by the way, let me just get this one in early. Fuck the NRL Phantom. Can I get a fuck the Phantom in the chat? Please, chat. One of the great gibberers, not even a gibberer, actually. Whatever the antithesis of a gibber is. Just an absolute leech on the Rugby League SuperCoach community. And his buddy Nostradamus, who was given one of the easiest red cards of all time today. Fuck you, Nostradamus. Fuck you, Phantom. For spreading fake news. It's not NRL Phantom. It's CNN. It's fake. Don't believe it. It's the media. Cam Wynn, he agrees. He says fuck the Phantom as well. We don't like you. We don't trust you. Metro Boomin. Froggy, he doesn't like him either. Fuck the Phantom. Jugas, can I get a fuck the Phantom?
Fuck the Phantom, baby. I actually missed most of this, boys. You'll have to catch me up, but for now, fuck the Phantom. I'll have to agree.
Pack your bags, champ. Pack your bags, champ. We don't like you. We don't trust you. Shout out to Metro Boomin. But, mate, yeah, listen, my top performer, excuse me, just obligatory. Paul Guidi, he is absolutely
Paul
piling
Guidi,
on
good
here.
man. Fuck the Phantom. It's a reliable source.
Yeah, PG. But yeah, my top performer here, mate, Payne Haas, who I had the wherewithal to captain. Felt great actually. Max Smart chimes in. He says, "Feeling grabby that I grabbed Haas. Will it make my dad like me?"
It's a good try, Max. I tried that one last year, no success on my end. If your dad warms up after that, well done.
Yeah, a happy birthday would be nice.
Yeah, maybe a visit once every 17 years.
Sorry, I nicked off a lot in the under 11s.
You still love me, Dad? No, you never did.
Yeah, you gonna pick me up this afternoon? Anyway, Payne Haas did well, 140.
Dude, 140 is the best, mate. He's, as a non-Payne Haas owner, and I'll get to this in trades, but as a non-Payne Haas owner, man, just watching that, he's effectively the turbo of the forwards, mate. Obviously, turbo's one you almost just get because you don't want to watch what he does to you. Payne Haas is fastly becoming the forward version of that if he wasn't already, mate. Just destructive.
Yeah, he's big, he's thick, he'll score in 6. He's Payne Haas. Oh, mate, yeah, that was unbelievable. Keithy chimes in. Is Haas really Superman, different costume? Well, look, to tell you my Haas experience on Friday night, I was sitting there in the old living room, as you know, mate, where we don't really have a couch here in Bondi. We're kind of floored.
In about T-8 days, I'm expecting the floor again, mate. So,
yeah, right. The floor is lava. Yeah, we have a business meeting off the show, mate. But yeah, listen, I was sitting there with the old Miso Soup, and shout out to the Miso Soup who, she rode every last hit up with me with Payne Haas. And when he went over, I'll tell you what, I gave her one of the great kisses of all time. She didn't, necessarily, reciprocate it because she thought that this is all idiot stuff and gimmicky. But yeah, shout out to the Miso Soup for riding that 140 there with me. That were the good things. They were the good things, mate. Ruben Garrick, we already kind of discussed. For me, though, I had plenty of scores under 50. Watson 30, obviously it was looking all right, but
that's a tough
HIA. Yeah, it hurts. He's out for next week as well. But that's the game we play, or they play, actually. Shannon Smith 20. Thanks for coming. Adam Dewey 42. He went to the wing at one point. That kind of affected him a little bit. Jarrell Skelton 39. Done a string as well. That hurts. Jermaine Asako with a 30. Early knee injury. Barely touched the ball after that. Marju, they got pumped, 38. Most people have him. Rob Toyer, 26, dropped the ball a lot. Luke Metcalf, 23. That's the experience. And my most disappointing, well, that's all pretty disappointing reading, but AJ Brimson of why did I buy into the trial form fame with a 24. So a few decisions to make over here at Andy's Late Mail HQ. But one guy who won't be making a decision, well, too many big decisions this week, is Jake. How are you, Jake? Shout out to you, Jake. He topped the chat this week with plenty. I'll read it out for you in a second here, Dylan. 1289. Now, I did pull out the feelers to Jake of give him a clap, I reckon. Good stuff.
On you, Jake.
On Jakey. Yeah, the team's name's Clutch Kings. I did reach out for comment. He's straight batted it so far. No comment. However, Jake, congratulations, mate. Once you do claim your prize, you'll be sent Jimmy Brings, or you'll be like the bloke who won last week and just said, give me $50 instead. So either way.
Yeah, it looks like the pineapple will be coming out, mate. I'll really encourage someone to take the Jimmy Brings voucher, though. Maybe send in a photo of you drinking and we can talk about it on the pod, mate. Gripping stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe, maybe we split a bag of goon next week when you're in town, mate. And, yeah. Keep a few more of these in the fridge. Or maybe I'll put another one of him now. What do you want to get to, mate? What's on your mind?
Mate, there's actually a new segment I was wanting to start this week. Actually inspired by a friend of mine, mate, watching the game. We're talking about Jamin Salmon, and then we're laughing about the week gutted dog of the week. And I thought, you know what? Every week the week does wrap up. I'm looking at my team and I'm cursing off on a few. And I think, you know what, it's only healthy to have a bit of steam, mate. Maybe that'll help with the decision-making this week. So we're going to introduce a new segment sponsored by Better Call Solar. Best solar in the industry. Contact Reese if you need details. And also sponsored by Damon Salmon and Ricky Stewart. Without them, we couldn't have the segment. My week guarded dog of the week this week. First of all is Socko. Pretty disappointing that he's not here. He is not my player dog of the week. But yeah, just wished him a good recovery. I think it's one tablet and the itching and swelling should go down, Sam. So just look after it, mate. And obviously we hope to see you back soon. My week got a dog of the week, mate. Reece Walsh. It's kind of weird too. From a fit here for Walshy. Yes, he put up 55. But partly my fault. I did put the captain's armband on him this week against the Cowboys, who were much more galvanized than what we've seen. But just the way he's playing, man, even that didn't look like a 55 watching it. With a host of fullbacks there, Gutho, Pat, both set for a price rise. And there's a lot of other guys who are a lot more involved in the play. For how much he comes in and out, mate, I just start to worry. And I was really high on Walsh in the preseason. They've got a good run. Is he going to really come out of this type of form? It just seems kind of like that's all there is to it at the moment, mate.
Yeah, we go into the season and we're all cock a hoop. Myself mostly here, talking about the benefit that Reynolds and Hunt will have on Walsh in terms of them kind of just getting them around the field, getting in the positions to succeed. But look, the last couple of weeks, even like that Roosters game to an extent, but he's just looked really cramped for room. And when Walsh kind of gets a bit isolated like that, he tries a lot, which is good. You want him trying, but he over tries, man. I don't think he realizes he's one of the fastest in the comp, over 10 meters, and just gets a little bit pass happy. And that's then reflected in his five errors, but he probably caused another 3 or 4 just by throwing hospital balls. To still get out of danger with the 55. Nice try assist over to Jesse Arthurs of 550k soon fame.
Yes, another 62, awesome. Mate. Another great week for the Jesse Arthurs truthers out there.
And there are many. But look, with Walsh, they play the Cows. We keep talking about this draw, guys. They play the Finns at home next week. Then they play West. Then they play the Chooks. Look, for me, given the injuries to Skelton, the MIA or the missing persons report I put in for Osako and AJ Brimson, it might just be one of those things that you have to white knuckle for the next month when they play shit kickers.
Again, I think we're going to get to this come trades, but I think every team's been hit by probably at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 in my case, whether it's an injury, whether it's a HIA, and you kind of running through those things. He's going to have to stay for the time being, but just not that confident in what he's going to really turn out, unless he kind of breaks out of this. But mate, and your week got a dog of the week, mate. Who caught your eye for all the wrong reasons?
Well, one guy I didn't catch my eye was Jermaine Osako because I barely saw him on the fucking field, mate. Again, I did preface this by saying, he hurt his little knee, did you? You hit a little boo-boo on your knee, mate. Forgot how to run. Off the back of that, he was dropping the ball with clear line breaks in front of him. Jermaine, if you're listening, we brought you in because we thought you're unders, but it turns out you're overs. We were thinking 70. We were thinking 80. It was all looking good after week 1 where I nearly lost my rent. Well, my bond, actually, I should say, with the landlord. A famous double in round 1 against your bunnies, Dylan. He's backed it up with nothing, and then he's backed it up again with nothing. Jermaine, it's a bad week to be a trade out, mate, for you, because that was disgraceful. I'm not helped by Avarillo and Cody Nicarima inside him, not really looking to feed, and then Herbie gets shifted over to the left, and we'll get to Herbie. But yeah, Jermaine, what's doing, brother? What's doing? Another guy who shares our sentiments in terms of, just general dejection is our favorite, Big Daddy, one of the GOATs. He says, a long week in SuperCoach, lads. This time last week, my grasp was firmly around my delicious swollen hog. This week, I'm feeling dejected and my hog deflated.
Big Daddy goes bang as per. Look, it's nice to hear that obviously the hog is still around, mate. You're still talking about it, which means you're still a man proud of your hog. But I think we're all kind of walking out of this week, hog between the legs, deflated, unfortunately, mate. So, we'll get to that in the game recap, Big Daddy. But, top score was 1270. That wouldn't have got you a look in the top 3 last week. So I think that shows it more than anything else, unfortunately.
Yeah, listen, Big Daddy, if your hog's deflated, there's a solution for that, if you know what I mean. Go to Newtown, King Street, sex shop, say Socko sent you. I need some cami. Moving into the games, Dylan, we'll start with the one that we just watched because it's fresh in our mind. Again, another shout out to the NRL Phantom because Garrick got 160 and he did play, you fucking coward. Garrick with 160, he scored 4 tries. He barely ran the pill. I think it was only 9 runs, but that was enough, wasn't it? 11 runs, rather, 7 tackle breaks, 11 tackles, 6 goals, and a 4 for 160. That's the top score of the season thus far, I believe. How was that, mate? You enjoyed watching that as a Garrick owner?
Yeah, huge score. I know Garrick is someone he's not a pod by any means, but obviously, this early in the year, everyone's still pretty split with who they do and don't have. So getting that 160 for my teammate, we were looking, to go pretty well under 1,000 to scrape out 1,040 off the back of Ruben. I think he's sometimes the forgotten man in that attack. Like, obviously, he is great for SuperCoach and, he kicks goals and that goes in his way a lot as well. But with a lot of those, you've got Saab, the Ferrari, you've got Tommy Turbo. Ruben Garrick tonight's reminding us he is an X factor, man. A few of those tries that he scored, one was complete solo brilliance and all the others just good footy. And 160 the best, mate. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. And just, underscored his season-long keeper credentials. He's a guy that I'm sure you and me are going to be very happy to ride the entire way. He was in my team since round 2, I think, as well last year. And he just has these kind of games in him. It always tends to be at Brookvale as well. Like it's fantastic. They've got so much strike on that right edge. Obviously, you already mentioned those 2, but then added Homole and Cherry Evans, who can, make a good decision or 2 as well. Garrick's going to have a couple of these games, every month or so. And you want to have him in when he does it. Another couple of guys from Manly who pumped today were Homole Olakau'atu with 82. He didn't score a try. He did have a try assist. Read out a couple of stats for you. Mate, 12 tackles. Obviously Canberra didn't really have much pill there, but 7 tackle breaks, a line break assist, and 15 runs. I think it was Jamal Fogarty on that side. It's weird. Like when Homole gets going, like he did in round 1, he'll just bully people for the entire 80 minutes or 70 minutes that he played today. And then in round 2, if he kind of gets neutralized a little bit early, as we saw, he can kind of hide away. But today was certainly not that, was it? That run that he made down the right channel, probably about a 16-point run. It's just Payne Haas playing for Keebra Park against the under-16 kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot, mate. I know you're also holding on in our Gibbers League, mate, on a head-to-head from about 25 points. You could have been saved by, I think it was a Homole cramp, mate, when he was looking to burst through that line. Otherwise, that could have been your matchup gone. So, yeah, he's just a destroying figure. I think a lot of that Manly pack, like, they've got some big boys. Shout out Toff Sipley. I think he's out for the year. I think they've basically, was that he was the one who went after him? Oh, it was Paseka, wasn't it? Yeah, Paseka, sorry. They got a lot of big boys, and when they get going, especially at Brookie, mate, with the hill heaving, shout out Josh Dugas. I know you would have been there tonight.
Bricked up as well.
Bricked up in every sense of that word, baby. But yeah, he's just a mate. Their forward pack, if they can get that same performance and I guess energy away from home, they could be a really scary prospect, mate. And even SuperCoach wise, on their night they're on, you've got Olakau'atu, 82. He could have done a lot more if some things kind of went his way as well. He could have easily turned up, mate. So, yeah, he'd be the other guy you're looking at. There's probably one bloke that I don't want to speak about, mate, and still your thunder. I'm sure there's one Seagull who caught your eye.
Hey, give me the TA. I'll put it over the black dot or under the black dot, just like this bloke did twice tonight. His name is Ethan, the Bully. Bullymore was 79. Famous, valuable SuperCoach points on a Sunday arvo. He scored a double, sure, but he also had 40-odd in base power. I was going to trade him on Monday or tomorrow, also known as tomorrow, to Tino. And I was happy to make that trade because obviously Tino is going to play more minutes. However, Paseka goes down. Probably Aloe starts next week. Maybe he did today. Who knows? The edibles are kicked in. But, does Bullymore kind of be more consistently up around that 45? He's got a bit more cash to make. Maybe I'll hold on to him. He's got a 79 in his rolling average now. Potentially ride him all the way to 450, mate, if he depending on what his break even and shit is. Yeah, he's 357 now. Yeah, I think he's probably got 100K in him, which is the grouse. It's one of the
mate, it's a funny thing, Supercoach. Sometimes the ones you're going to trade out to move for someone better, they, obviously now Bullimore's got that 79 in his rolling average, and it makes you think twice about upgrade. And then, these are all the decisions we've got to make. But yeah, very impressive, mate. He's been consistent.
He's a goer, isn't he?
He could get some more minutes. Moving on to the Raiders, probably one of the biggest talking points, Tom Starling. I know I traded him in this week, as a lot of other people did. He was one of their best, I thought. I knew that obviously the early hooking change would be coming with the score it was in the second half. I think it was about circa 53, 54 in when Starling went off. Only thing that concerns me is Owen Paddy did look really fucking good. It's towards the end. I think it's hard to judge, though. They've built a good little thing, I think, at Canberra this year regards to this game. So Starling owners, including myself, I'll still be starting him next week.
Yeah, and Setsu says Starling, the long schlong king, the answer to any hooker issues.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, hey, that's probably a bit of what we call a double entendre, I reckon. Yeah, you're pretty happy with his performance. He held his gloves up, didn't he? What did he make? Like fucking 50 tackles in 50 minutes or something?
Yeah, he held his gloves up. He was looking pretty. I know he had a couple of good runs probably earlier. That game was just crazy. As soon as Manly flicked the switch, that kind of ruined any spark for Canberra and I guess fantasy prospects in that game. Corey Horsburgh, I mean, he's got that performance in him, doesn't it? It was still quite good considering the sin bin. He still put up 48. But they were all rattled, mate. They scored 4 tries in there. Look, I think that game for Starling and Horsburgh, I'm probably still feeling about them the same I did next week. A lot of people who have Tamale, not thrilled with that. But I mean, when you get done like that at Brookie, man, it's pretty hard to, how much do you factor that in for games moving forward, Getting pumped like that, I think it will be a bit of an anomaly, unfortunately.
Yeah, rookie wingers in a pumping never tend to do too well.
If Albert get named his name next week, though, after this, mate, there'll be a lot of people just going, come on, Ricky. Don't do it to me. I just brought the kid in for one price.
I'll put Sticky Stewart's head on a steak, mate, on a pike. Owen Paddy, mate, he looks the real deal. I know we've only seen kind of short stints of it, but he just reminds me so much of a young Harry Grant, doesn't he? Like the way he just gets under people and just he's quick across the ground, as in he's fast. What that means. And as the Supercoach Cheese, who's my co-host on a Wednesday night, he says he's like a sniffer dog. Again, not to be confused with the sniffer dogs that you see at Central Station harassing 16-year-olds. That's about it from that game. I guess from Manly, Saab 24. You'd be filthy if you brought him in. The Garrick scored.
Yeah, that's Socko again for the Jason Saab. Again, Socko, when you don't come into the stream, you get the Sunday treatment from the Supercoach gods, unfortunately, mate.
Yeah,
enjoy that 24 from Saab, you coward.
Lehigh Hopewadi, 34 at fullback. That's probably unders. Yeah, I think we covered that game well. Hudson Young with an 80 and getting the boys across the line. Actually, one more fella I'll bring up to you, Jugas. It's kind of interesting. Trey Mooney.
A lot of energy from Trey Mooney, isn't there?
Yeah, he's always been kind of knocking on the door. Yeah, 73 today. He didn't score a try or anything. One to think about. There's a couple of
first game of the year.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe it is.
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, it was. One to keep an eye on because he's 2RF. He's probably owed a Julius 317K. Another guy that a lot of people were keen to watch today was Matty Nicholson. He pumped out a 41. I think he played the full 80. A tough game to gauge him on. Again, obviously, right? Given that Manly had 70-odd% of possession for most of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think if you've got prospects, man, this is going to be a really last week was kind of the fun trade week, right? Like it was before there, it was kind of risk-free. Injuries hadn't hit the league this year, like that many injuries, sorry. And then you've got this week, mate, I think mostly 2 out of 3 trades for most people will be forced trades. So, if you have the option of maybe flipping someone to a Nicholson to make cash or whatever, I wouldn't be scared about doing that. Looked really good round, in his debut, and then 41 tonight on the team that got dominated. Next week against Cowboys, if you want to bring him in before a price rise, I wouldn't advise against it. I think he looks pretty solid in there at the moment still.
Before we move on to the next game, a quick shout out to Savs of Supercoach Experience fame, one of the great content creators in the NRL Supercoach community, and a big Manly fan, Jugas. Not sure if Sabs was down at Brookie with your brother today, but he'd be cock-a-hooped. Yeah, shout out to you, Sabs, one of the greats. Moving into the next game between Parramatta and the Bulldogs, we'll throw to a comment from Para's number one ticket holder, which is Cam Wynn. And I'll read it out for you, Dylan. He says, sadness lingers, heavy and deep, like dreams I've lost, like nights with no sleep. Yet through it all, I nod resigned. The Eels are winless, but am I surprised?
Yeah, that's right on the feels from Cam Wynn. Shout out to the 0-3 Eels gibberer. Tough for the Eels today, man. In our little group chat, I was saying that I thought they could be on for a win today. Verdonk Ryle was a lot happier after that performance anyway, but it could be a long year, man. Thoughts out to Dirt.
Yeah, Cam Wynn loves a good weekend, doesn't he, Dylan? But I'm sure he had a great weekend, but this wasn't quite the cherry on top that he was after. Maybe have a cherry ripe on the way home from the gym tonight, big fella. But yeah, look, I thought Para were actually okay today. This is an NRL show, but they were pretty decent. The main guy I was really impressed with, one of the great targets for us all in the center wing, is Zach Lomax. I'll read out a couple of stats here for you, Dylan. So we had 9 tackle breaks, a forced dropout, a line break, and 16. Well, he made 31 runs, which is unreal. 82 points without kicking a goal or scoring a try. That is why he's worth $773K in the NRL SuperCoach, and yeah, he's got to be on everyone's radar. ASAP Rocky or ASAP Ferg, depending on who you prefer from the mob. You're impressed with Lomax today? He had a go, didn't he?
Yeah, very much so, mate. He always had the talent, didn't he? And then last year, just, he kind of just became, it's like he fully matured and became that player we all knew he could be. And then I think he's come on to the Eels with a chip on his shoulder, mate. And, he's the one willing to take those hard hit-ups. Like even today, getting through what he did in base. If Parra can get a bit better, especially once Mitch Moses is back, he is coming back, I believe, at some point.
Yeah.
Allegedly, it looks like a bit of a weird injury. But, mate, even without that, once he drops in price around certain times of the year, he's a real X factor. If he can keep getting a base on, non-scoring, non-kicking weeks of around about 70, once he starts putting it together, mate, he could be a massive target.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Him, Herbie, Carraz, when he comes back, they're going to be thereabouts. Val Holmes as well. These are guys that we want to plan for. We want to get in as soon as possible because, the sooner you got the guys who make points in, the sooner you start scoring more per week. Dylan Brown, a bloke that you own, he had an early try assist and then, still pumped out a 64. I know you were kind of tossing up during the week. Well, I don't know if you're seriously going to trade him, but it was, he's got to be on the short list of guys to trade in terms of not playing to his performance. How did you feel just watching him today? I mean, that score, I feel, flatters him even a little bit.
Yeah, mate, I'll tell you what, if I was a Knights fan, I'd be going, so is the deal signed yet? Like, are we still going through with this, mate? It's a tough one with Dill. I think he's consistently showed that without Moses there, he's just not a 7. There was a lot of conjecture. I think some halves are pretty interchangeable. It looks very manufactured. He doesn't look calm, mate. 64 does flatter him. Obviously, he'll get gifted that try assist as he's the one who, I guess, opened the space from that tap.
Yep.
That's a pretty lucky try assist just in the way it panned out, really. It doesn't stop tackling, doesn't stop running, mate. But, again, bigger fish to fry at the moment. But, that 64, while it didn't read horribly this weekend, just the style of play is a concern for how sustainable he can be to really put up a good type of score at this point in time. Some other players. You go, sorry.
Yeah, I think we were just both going to probably collide on we're both Jermaine Hopgood owners. And
yeah, mate, that's where I was headed, to be completely honest. Yeah, straight to that train.
I'll tell you what, much maligned Jermaine Hopgood. I think he was sold by about 4% of teams this week. He's almost in pod territory. We needed that. We needed that 59 today, didn't we? I mean, geez, he was good, Jugas. I think he only played 60-odd minutes. He played that first 29. He came out like a bat out of hell. He was going hard in defense. He only missed 1 tackle today. He missed 8 or 9 the last couple of weeks. The offload wasn't going. He got smothered again. He did get a couple offloads away. But I think you'll find that, the Dogs did a really good job on him in attack. It was only, he had 11 runs. Only 3 of them were over 8 meters. Again, this is what's been happening all year for him. He gets the ball. He's kind of flat-footed. Gets caught with it. 2 offloads away, 1 tackle break, but 42 tackles. Man, he's a class player, isn't he? I'm glad he's going to drop a bit of cash, but I think we hold strong, don't we?
Yeah, there's bigger, again, you're probably sick of me here saying this, mate, but there's bigger fish to fry. I think his first 2 weeks, he clocked up about 58 and 43, and Hopgood's always going to get the minutes. He's a classy player. And then if they can start to kind of turn that dial, mate, and get consistent momentum in games instead of just patches, more offloads will come, and as much as everyone will look at these scores and go, oh, how crap's that? You look at, for example, Olaquadu last week, mate, in a game where they get drilled, with some of those more flashier prospects, you might cop I think he put up 41 or 38. With Hopgood, you'll rarely ever see that. Yes, you may cop maybe a high 40 or a low 50. I think this is another subpar score, mate. I think he'll start rising to the 70s, 80s, 90s. So, yeah, from this week, he played well, mate, and I think he'll continue to only maybe slightly improve, but he's not going to regress any further.
Yeah, it looks like he took whatever happened the last couple of weeks pretty personally today. I was very impressed with him happy with the score and impressed with him from a NRL perspective. Again, didn't miss any tackles, which was different the last couple of weeks, wasn't it? Another guy who performed okay. He performs well every week. Isaiah Yongi, Voldemort, try assist today, 54, gets his cash growth back on track. No one really else from the Eels jumping out at me. Fox with a 50. And as we move over to the Bulldogs, as that edible I had about half an hour really starts to take over here.
Yeah, mate, if you need to throw over any point in time, just let me know, mate.
Who stood out from the Dogs? I mean, Preston with a 55, all in base again. Would you be happy as an owner? You are an owner, right?
No, not a Preston owner, man. This is the whole time. This is one of the things I've been talking about, like, especially with your Brown and your Hopgoods, as bad as they've been, you've also got your blokes like your Prestons who are in winning teams, winning situations when you think, well, this is almost the peak of what we could be scoring. And he just doesn't seem to be around it that much. They've had 3 weeks where they've won fairly comfortably this week, not so much, but, he's yet to post, I think, above 60, 65.
Yep.
So if I'm a Preston owner, mate, I'm probably a little bit concerned about that. Again, probably falls somewhat in the Hopgood situation. I think there's bigger fires to put out at the moment. Yeah, but he's certainly not really. I think I'd say the same thing for Hopgood and Preston. There's 2 scenarios. Either A, you don't own them, you're not bringing them in right now. There's no way you can make a case to bring in either of those guys. No. But by the same situation, I don't believe that if you have them, you need to rush to trade them out. There's bigger if those are your biggest worries and you can afford to trade those guys before anything else, sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be panicking to get them out like I am with some of my other players who will come trade time.
That does it for the Dogs. No one, again, I think we said this last week, there's no one else really relevant in that team.
No, there's no one that really SuperCoach relevant, mate, for the Dogs. So
shout out to Stephen Critter Crichton, who loves a dive. He should be on the Italian soccer team. We move into the games yesterday. Your Bunnies, who played Cronulla Sharks. George Vitaris chimes in, the man in the know at where do they train at? Malabar, Maroubra? Somewhere. It's not Redfern, though, is it? He says, up the Bunnies. Don't know why he's saying that because they got absolutely pumped yesterday. Dylan, how did you feel watching that as a supporter?
First of all, shout out George. What a man. Yes, we have been cursed since we've left Redfern, mate, but we won't chat about that. First of all, being a Bunnies fan, weird game. I actually left that game being pretty proud of the effort that the boys put on. And again, that goes both ways, man. Sharks have now showed us for this weekend, last week, right? They're versing Cows and Bunnies, who are 2 teams that aren't the cream of the crop this year. Mate, watching that first half, you're going, fucking hell, I'm bringing in Mortalo, I'm bringing in Hines, you've got your wish list going, mate. And then the second half comes 2 weeks in a row and they do fuck all. So, as a Bunnies fan, man, like a SuperCoach relevant, I said it last week again, we're not an exciting, flagrant team this year. There's no one who's that SuperCoach relevant. Jamie Humphries was 78. Of course he is. Bit disappointed that I didn't bring him in. I got talked into the Starling thing. I still like the Starling thing, but Humphries showed this week, he's a fucking footballer. 2, if there's an injury, man, he just moves into the back row, gets through.
Yeah.
So
mate, he made
inside, man.
43 tackles.
Yeah, he's a workhorse, bro. And he doesn't look at it. And then you look at the try he scored, mate. How brilliant was that? Quick tap, left someone for dead, and then had a big defender on him trying to get him from the back and just pushed him off like a kid, mate. So, he's super impressive.
Eyes up footy from the man with one of the great rigs in the NRL. That was really the only thing to write home about for South.
Shout out,
Mamazellus.
quick shout out, Pistol Pete, man. Got his slugs away, doesn't he? I think he made 60 tackles.
Yeah, he downdated to 50 for some reason.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, 50 tackles, 4 missed, 3 runs, a couple of penalties conceded.
Yeah,
but fucking hell,
happy
we'll
with
take
him,
that.
mate. He'll just keep fucking getting cash on the sideline, mate. Or not even the worst start this time of the year.
Yeah, no, he should rise to about 360k right now, and very playable, just like Tommy Starling instead of the roller coaster to Sandon Smith. One guy that was really impressive, will shock no one in a pumping, was Nico, wet hair, dry hair, doesn't matter. Nico Hines. Tell you what, we're both non-owners, and after the first 5 minutes, when he was on 10 minutes, whatever it was, when he was on 70 or something, I was starting to plan my Bali trip a bit early because that looked like it was curtains for the SuperCoach season. Somehow we got out of jail with 113, which, look, honestly, the way it was looking, we'll take that. But what really impressed me about Nico that I personally hadn't seen too much of this year was just playing kind of both sides of the ruck. We saw him as a sweeper on the right. We saw him, pushing up above the advantage line on the left. Up until this point, it had kind of just been a pretty clear left-right shape with him and Tricky. But he looks to be kind of getting on the front foot again. Maybe there's a little bit of confidence coming back after, being a little bit unders injury-wise in the preseason. Fuck, man, he looks like someone we're going to have to get in. Admittedly, the strength of opposition wasn't fantastic. And, they go on a draw where they play the Dogs next week, Canberra the week after, Manly, and then Newcastle. Fuck, it's actually a pretty good run. Yeah, Nico, 735k, probably stays around that. How urgent is that to get him in, given he's picking it popping up everywhere?
I've been running through my trades this week, and every game someone else got injured, mate, and they would change him. But yeah, I think early us Cleary owners made after round one. Again, never go the early crow. We're going, we made the right choice. Hines looked a bit shocked. Cleary looked great, and watching that Sharks team, mate. Again, I touched on it earlier. They've played one good half of footy. If they can put two of those halves together, which they're more than capable of, Hines could be putting up, those 113 should really be 140s, 150s, mate. It's a bit different this year because Trindle has now had that full preseason where it's, okay, we are the guys. It's not Nico's the guy and who's kind of coming in. So I think obviously it's going to be a bit more split this week. Like obviously Tricky Trindle put up 97 of the best, a 40-20 kicking show.
Yeah, that was unreal, wasn't it?
But with, I think the Sharks will finish top 3 in the league in points scored at the end of the year, which means fantasy points made. And I think even with that being split between Hines and Trindle, there's so much attack there, mate. So I think I'm going to be looking to bring in Hines for Cleary this week. Early trade.
Oh, right.
Michelle. Yeah, I could be pulling the
Nate,
trigger. We'll may discuss that later, but just with the break even and with Nath as well, mate, I know you and Cheese touched on it in a pod you guys did about a week ago. He's digging into that line and not even being that close to when the ball is, going through the line and those real try-scoring attacks that happen. So, if anyone looking to do Cleary from Hines, I know I'm definitely in that boat, but I've still got to move some pieces around and see, come TLT.
Yeah, love the look of Nico, man. He was always someone that is going to be a target for sure, given he's the second best. Well, he's going to still pump out 70s in terms of average, but yeah, I was always just like, hey, I'm not going to bring him in until I see him kind of floating everywhere, and he certainly did that. Mulatalo with a 109. He's a bit up and down SuperCoach wise. Tricky Trindle, a couple of 40-20s. In Socko's defense, because he can't defend himself because he's indefensible. He did bring Tricky in last week, which, is a questionable choice in its own right, but he had some type of vindication with the 97. And then Kale Iro. He continues to score tries, 85 this week. He's in about 13 teams. The week before, he scored 111 and then a 65 against Penrith. He has scored in each week of the season so far. I've probably already spoken to you about Iro last year and how good he was and how playable he was even as a rookie. He's a fantastic player, man. Whether he's in that Lomax / Herbie et al. Bracket, I don't know. He's going to be very expensive, so he's probably going to get away from us for the time being. But fuck, man, we need to slow down a little bit, maybe have a couple of 50s and come back down to the field so we can get him in, because I think he's going to be a top 5 or 6 kind of player, eh?
Yeah, mate, shout out to all the huge nutsacks out there that spent that type of dough on Eero from round 1, because you're reaping the rewards now, mate. But, while he may not be in that, same class as your Herbies and stuff, when you play for a team like the Sharks, mate, that just the extra try scoring opportunities, I think, going to add up, and that's what makes him so reliable as an option.
Speaking of being reliable, Righty comes in. Righty 2K. He says, cheers for the shout out in the weekly score. My team is the Clutch Kings. Mate, you are the Clutch King, my brother. Congratulations to you. What a round. Round 3. He looks like he's going to be up around the pointy end as well, old Righty. Up around that top 1,000 for sure. Love seeing that. Love seeing the
Is this our top scorer?
This is our top scorer.
Can we get him on the line? Can we get him on the line, more importantly?
I'll give it a go. Where are you, Righty?
Can we pressure him into getting a Jimmy Brings voucher?
Oh, fuck. Hang on. Bear with me. Anyone else you want to talk about from that game?
From the Shark Rabbitohs game?
Yeah,
it's going to be full on deaf ears, mate, because you can't multitask. But I'll just talk to myself, mate. No, I think that were pretty mumuch the takeaways, mate. Like some of the guys who looked good last week, Sean Kepi, I don't think anyone really bring him in. No one did. Kind of mediumed out. Fanua Blake, as good as he is, man, a lot of people are high on him as well. I think that there's a lot more, probably, mate, I don't want to say more reliable options, but just with if I'm going to be dropping money, mate, it's Payne Haas, which I'll come to later. But
absolutely. Jumping around, we can go to this West game yesterday. Herbie Farnworth, who we've already kind of spoken about in terms of being a must-have. He went on to the left, I noted. He's been playing on the right inside the forgotten man of the SuperCoach, Jermaine Asako. Definitely forgotten by Tenny's late mail. Mate, Herbie was massive. He scored a try, 7 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 20 runs. Fuck, he's the best centre in rugby league, in my humble opinion. Just has a bit of cun about him as well, unlike most of these soft Englishmen. And he's come out here as a young fella. You know what? He actually didn't play any Super League. Did you know that? Like he debuted professionally.
I remember for the Broncos, mate. I think he came over here maybe when he was 17, 18. When he first moved here. Yeah, I had a bit of a stalk on his Instagram because he's fucking hot. Which he is, man. He's stunning. But he's been here for a long time, mate. So you can kind of tell he's just and the NRL is all he knows. And I know that sounds weird, but think about your Sam Tompkins, mate, the way he was touted about when he came over as a superstar. They just never really quite seemed to click. You've got some good ones, Gareth Ellis and whatnot, but yeah, man, he's been out here since the start, and he's I think in a game where Dolphins, I don't want to say were dominated, but the better team won. I think he beat his first man almost every time he got the ball. Or put on a solid hit, mate. He's an absolute unit, and that's reflected in his SuperCoach score. He's a live wire every time he gets it.
He tried his ass off, didn't he? And the Finns don't have a hell of a lot of attack. I mean, Hammer's hammer. You always back Hammer if he gets a go, but it looks as though they just give it to Herbie and kind of hope, which Boxzilla agrees with. He says Herbie, big balls, loves a run. Oh, he's absolutely sick for a carry, man. And, one thing I'd really suggest to all of our loyal listeners here is, when your missus isn't looking, hop off to the bathroom and just develop a little bit of a list. Not the Epstein list, obviously, but a list of guys who are targets in each position, center wing included. And Herbie's there. He won't let you down, man. He'll do 55 with his eyes closed, won't he? He's an unreal footy player. Isaiah Katoa, you actually brought him up last week, I believe, Dylan.
I did, mate. Yeah, I did. And that was one I actually wrote about, mate. Again.
How good was he?
Mate, he was awesome. And that actually caught my eye. Again, yes, we all look at the SuperCoach points, but I think one of the things when I was chatting to you about it last year, mate, when you were going through your run, you go and just, if they pass the eye test, you know what I mean? You think, okay, these scores are good. And then people will tell you, last year you saw this, rah, rah, rah. But, Katoa as well, I heard something about him. I forget what it was last year, but he was getting some type of weird mentality coaching, all this extra shit on the side. And I just thought there's something about this kid. He wants to be good. And yeah, he's been a shining light for them, mate. He's always everything around that they're doing, he's involved. So it's hard to know what the makeup of everyone's team is. But mate, you wouldn't be mad at bringing him in that. At the moment you've got Starling and Humphries, who are probably the more attractive options. But mate, I think he sits around about what 390. So yeah, he continues to impress, man. He's definitely someone to keep an eye on. If he keeps doing this, mate, he's got more price rising. So if you're not afraid of missing out on the first one, I'd give that the green light.
Oh fuck. You probably couldn't. I mean, he scored, his break even was minus 15 going into this week. He scored 70. He's probably going to be 500K. I mean, fuck, he's definitely jumped for sure. Like last year, he averaged, 30 odd, 39. Yeah, maybe he's going to turn into this like high 50s, low 60s guy. He just looks like, I mean, he's always had raps on him. He was playing at Penrith under Cleary for a little bit. He gets thrown into the Wolves a little bit, the Finns, like as a rookie half. Probably gets like harshly marked as a result, but fuck, man, like I feel like there was a few half breaks yesterday. His running game's elite. He can no look pass, good kicking game. He's really like an outstanding halfback. I know that Andrew and Matty Johns like fawn over him, even Cooper Cronk to an extent in the com box most weeks. But yeah, I thought it was important to shout him out with a 74. Who else from the Finns? Max Plath with 55.
Yeah, 55, Max Plath. Tommy Gilbert, 47. I know a lot of people were really high on him after round one, including myself. I think there's better options out there. He won't let you down, but look, until I see something better out of that Finn side, mate, there's no one in there I'm really dying to get on. Or if
aside from Herbie, who Boxzilla is a truther of.
Yeah, he's a truther. Mate, if you weren't a Herbie truther, I'd have questions.
And then Righty of Enjoy Your Jimmy Brings, mate, fame. He says, P.S. Here we go. Now he's just having a victory lap. How good is this? He's up and about Sunday night. Talk your shit, Righty. Fucking say you're all dumb cunts for not getting him in. He's mine. How good's that? From the West Tigers, Dylan?
Yeah, looking at the Tigers, obviously, to add to my running through the sticks with my woes this week, unfortunately, Jarrell Skelton, mate. I've been pretty happy with him. He's come in. He hasn't been obviously hitting those ceilings that he can put up, but he was doing a job. Do we know the latest on how long he's out for?
Look, usually with just any type of string, it's 2 to 4. However, mate, he looked cactus. He could barely walk after it. I dare say, without ever spending a day at medical school, it looked like Terry. I think it could be Dylan Lucas areas, eh?
Yeah, 6. That's probably the edible talking, mate. So yeah, look, we're gonna have to wait for that. He's probably someone on the way out of both of our teams. I would more than likely say, just given that, is he a must go for you this week if it's 2 to 4?
Well, maybe like. Again, with Asako, who we didn't even mention, we don't need to mention, he's already the week got a dog of the week.
Yeah, he's really been mentioned, mate, for the wrong reasons.
He's going to have 120 break even next week. He's going to be losing deluxe, at least with Skelton, and kind of like with Lucas this week. They're not going to be losing cash if they're on the sideline. So
the Dylan Lucas story, mate. Fuck, man, that's where it all started going wrong midweek.
Tough stuff. Shame for Skelton. He was actually looking pretty good in that game as well. And he was,
he works hard, man, and he's good for footy. I like watching these converts come across, obviously being a rugby sevens boy, so he's exciting. Yeah, a couple of questions that we've got before you can have your victory lap session here. Quite a lot of stuff about the Tigers here. Tyler chimes in. How are you, Tyler? He says, thoughts, concerns on AD. Scored 43 with 20 points worth of goals. I'll take the reins here, the Roman reins if you want, Dylan. He scored 40-odd in round one against Newey in a game that they scored a couple of tries in. Yesterday, he got put on the wing for a little bit after Skelton went down. That would have affected his base a little bit. He wasn't making any tackles. They didn't really kick it to him. Am I worried? No, because he's holding value. I think at a worst case scenario, if someone can hold value, that's okay. He's not priced too excessively. But one thing I think is going to be important to look at, or worth looking at, is Tyron Wishart. Jerome Hughes is out for the next while. I think it could be 6 weeks even, broken hand, something like that. Wishy will go into 7. Last season, Wishart averaged 80 in 80-minute games. He's the ultimate just fucking,
great footy player. I don't know if he's going to goal kick. I think Pappenhausen might kick, which will bring his numbers down a little bit. But it's almost straight swap territory from Dewey if you're off that. But yeah, I'm happy to hold on to Dewey for a little bit. He's kicking goals pretty well. West look like they've actually got a few points in them this year. Slight concerns, but wasn't exactly expecting him to be a 70+ guy like we saw last week. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Like, if you brought in Adam Dewey expecting 80 every week, you probably didn't do your research, unfortunately. But now for where he's priced at, mate, like again, 42 with goals, it's not really inspiring stuff. He's priced at 431. Again, unless you're in a pretty problem team free, which just after the injuries this week, and I don't think will be the case, I wouldn't really be looking to move him on. And mate, if that same game happens, they won 30-18. If he crashes over for one of those tries, maybe that 42 is a 65. So I'd hold patient there, mate. Tigers look like they have points in them this year. So, with the goal kicking, I wouldn't be concerned yet. He's only going to go up in price at this point.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's really frustrating is 5'8" this year. I know you started with KO Weeks, or was that our friend Socko?
That was Socko, mate. I'm riding out that Metcalf and Dill Brown experience, unfortunately.
Yeah, 5'8" just off its head, isn't it? JC.
It's rocks or diamonds territory, mate. Jaden Campbell last week saved me in my league, having a shocker, and then this week, I didn't have him personally, but put up 100 tonned up. So,
do you want to have your Alex Saithfar 30 seconds in the
Yeah, I do. Last week I did sing high praise for Alex Saithfar. He goes all day, mate. Like, he's never going to score with anything flashy, mate, but getting that short ball close to the line and just fucking limping over some cunt, covered up the camera angle. You couldn't even see if he scored or not. So it was, vet move, 73. Without that, it's not great, mate, but I know a lot of people traded him out last week, and I thought it was way too early to hit the panic button. He plays 80. If he starts getting some attacking stats, I don't expect that every week, but there's no reason he can't be a 60 to 70 guy week on week. So if you've got Saithfar, keep holding on to him. If you don't buy him.
Yeah, everyone's happy. Terrell May, 73, moving on. He's going to do that every week. We don't need to cover it.
Yes.
Quickly over to the Titans, the 5'8", the standout 5'8" of the week, and probably, the 5'8" to have. As a guy, he averaged 95 in his first 6 weeks as 5'8" last year, Dylan. And then he averaged 50-odd for the last 6 weeks. He did break his hand or had some type of weird hand injury, a Brendan hand injury. But last night, pumped out 117. Jaden Campbell's the guy we're talking about. That was 2 try assists, 1 try, 5 goals, 20 tackles, a couple of line break assists, a line break. Listen, I own AJ Brimson, right? Probably because, Brimson's going to be the guy who has the attacking upside in that side. It looks like Campbell and Kinney are kind of dominating the shape a lot. Campbell's in everything. He's doing all the kicking. He's the guy that gets the ball into the right or left post, crabs across field, looks to pick up runners. Do we just bite the bullet and pay $700K and just forget about 5'8" for the season and back this guy who's kicking goals in a pretty high octane offense, Dylan?
No. Personally, I don't. They beat a Knights team, mate, that I think were coming down after the first 2 weeks. There were no Dylan Lucas, no Kai Pierce-Paul, no Thompson. So they were severely kind of underweight coming into that game. And, Jaden Campbell, I think he's still somewhat finding his feet at that halfback role. And I don't know. I think easily in that game, man, it could be Kinney scoring more points and Brimson getting involved. So I'm not willing to pay that buck for Jaden Campbell just yet. Bo Firma, on the other hand, if you got him, it's good. But yeah, looking at Jaden Campbell, I just don't feel like he probably is the guy to go to at the moment. He's priced at $700,000. It's a great game. If you've got him, you're stoked with that result. But yeah. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here, guys, until Reese is back. Maybe a moment. Oh, I'm going to fill my bottle up.
Oh, mate, I'm willing to pay for JC.
Mate, I'm having a quick time out, mate.
Last year, man.
Give me 30 seconds, mate, while you talk about your Jaden Campbell love.
Viewers will know my Jaden Campbell love. I'll move to Keanu Kinney, 68. Listen, he tried his backside off, try assist there. line break, 20 runs. I feel like for the second week in a row, he was somewhat neutralised, but it's a hell of a lot better seeing him do 68 than it is watching Reece Walsh just kind of limp his way to 50-odd. Tino Fa'asuamaleaui was 61. Interesting to see the injury report out of that game. I think he had like a bit of ice on his calf towards the end there, Tino, but he was once again used like in pretty sporadic stints by Des Hasler. Des Hasler's daughter, I found out today, is actually a PT at the gym I go to. Make of that what you will, guys. But yeah, Tino 61. He's priced at fuck all. He's pretty easy in next week, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I, to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what the minute situation was with Tino, or if that was part of, I guess, why there was a bit of a tick down. But mate, he just looks dangerous, doesn't he? You know, he gets in, he always spins his back. He's got that offload ready to go for someone. There's line break assist there. There's base work. So yeah, I think he's someone, again, you can probably just set and forget at 5:31. Get him before that jumps up, I think, in a big way.
Yeah, it's scary to watch, man. He looks like he's going to break a tackle and throw an offload, and he just loves it, dude. He loves working. He's just classic, like, give me the ball. Like, I got this, boys. 2 carries a set. Yeah, I think it was probably only like 40, 45 minutes last night, but they didn't have to bring him on either because the game was already over by
Correct.
that point. So, David Fifita coming off the bench again, 56. You know, loving these scores out of Fifi off the bench. He's just going to keep bringing him down nicely. His break.
Yeah, the thing is, without that try at the end, we would have been a lot closer to Fifita. When he crashed at the end, I was a bit disappointed, mate, because I think we all wanted to score low just to make him obtainable. But when that's the right price and the right time, mate, there's definitely some points and money to be made on that one.
Absolutely. And the final guy from the Titans, where doesn't seem to be a lot of money made so far, is AJ Brimson. Boxzilla chimes in, kind of echoes what I said before. Would AJ to JC be the player? I feel Brimo is not going to get the points. Listen, I asked this question to the Rugby League Realm a bit earlier in the day, and shout out to the Realm, one of the greats. He just said to me, well, why'd you buy Brimson in the first place? It's like, he kind of has these games in him where he's going to base without attacking stat, and it's not going to look too good. But when you do have the attacking stat, the upside's there. He doesn't drop the ball over the line last week. He scores 70. You're pretty happy with that. You'll cop a 20-odd the week after. But they play the Chooks, the Finns, Saints, Canberra, Cows. Not a terrible upcoming draw, is it? Would you say to me, Dylan, like in my situation, should I white knuckle Brimo, or is it going to be worth paying the extra 170K for JC, who has the same upside or more upside?
I mean, even if I was upgrading personally, I'm not a Campbell believer yet. Let's not forget that last week he put up 40 and looked, completely disconnected from that attack. Yes, you versus the Knights at home. Personally, I wouldn't be upgrading that. Again, if you like Brimson, man, yeah, you'll probably, you'll cop that. There is going to be a bit of a price loss there. But if he comes out and has a couple of AJ games, like you said, the draw is pretty soft for the next 5 weeks. So I personally wouldn't be making that upgrade. But, you got to lock in for the AJ experience, don't you?
Moving over to the Knights, Froggy asks, can we go a Cant, or is a Cant a Cant? He is referencing Thomas Cant, who played in place of Dylan Lucas and is going to be in the team for the next month and a bit. Jugas, I'll read these stats out to you. Didn't score a try, but he made 46 tackles. He actually had a line break. And then he made, that's 8 plus 18 runs, 88 SuperCoach points without a major attacking stat. He's priced at 274K. Lucas is out for 6 weeks, so it means that Cant will get 3 price rises out of him. Yeah, geez, tell you what, he's definitely an option next week. Week after next. It's not worth, blowing your head gasket just now. Wait until he is confirmed to be starting and playing a third game. Keep an eye on the rotation as well. I think Kai Pearce-Paul was out as well last night, right?
And Thompson. So whether he keeps the 80-minute role, time will tell. But it's good to know that, there's a 275K guy out there that can just go at almost 1 ppm when he plays on the edge, right? So of course, yeah, mate. Great season debut for him. Was that his debut or season debut? No, he's played 10 games last year. Okay. Yeah, look good, mate. Like, obviously, with Dill Lucas pretty much confirmed to be 6 weeks. So, again, there'd be 0 point jumping on him this week, unless you were looking to free up some cash. But wait till the second week. He's not going to price rise again for another 2 rounds now. So, yeah, see what happens with that rotation once KPP comes back in. If he can keep the minutes, which next week hopefully will show if they get a few of those boys back, that'll tell us a lot more before the next round.
Yeah, probably a bit more interest in him for me than Matty Nicholson. Wasn't overly keen on Matty Nicholson from the get-go. I mean, he does have a pretty decent ceiling, as we saw with the double on debut. But, yeah, not sold he plays 80 every week. I don't think he played 80 today even. And, yeah, Tom Cant's like 100K cheaper. So, yeah, big watch on him next week. Watch the rotation, as Dylan said. One guy that is really going well this season is Bradman Best, the guy that Cam has. He says, shout out to Haas, C. Insert Barack Obama meme face there, mate. Garrick and Best combined for 459 points, keeping my 50K dream alive for another round. Well, tell you what, Cam, unless you're, doing a lot of casual teaching, that 50K is not going to come, too easily. You'll have to be doing 3 casual shifts a day to make 50K in a week. Make of that what you will, Dylan. But yeah, Bradman Best, 109, scored a try, and he made a lot of runs, 6 tackle breaks, and it was 18 runs. Tell you what, the Knights love feeding him, and when they feed him, he doesn't feed it on to Marju.
Unfortunately, not.
Fuck, how good's the shinny? How good's the leggy?
Mate, the shinny, the leggy, the Bradman Best iced out chain, mate. The guy's got swag, so I said what you want about him. But yeah, in the past, mate, he was always the guy, like you'd watch a game and he'd dominate. You look at the score and he'd be on 53 SuperCoach points. So this year I kind of guess that, what he's doing in the game is turning into more points. What's he priced at? I think he's sitting at 564, similar to the price of the RTS, Marzus, those type of guys, mate. He's put up 40 into 99 into now tunning up like his namesake, Don Bradman, on a regular occasion. Yeah. So, yeah, look, he's definitely a prospect, mate. Like, obviously now he's set to have a price rise. Won't be anything too crazy, but he looks really good, man. He looks all around the attack. For the Knights as a whole, mate, just missing Dill Lucas this week, you could see they kind of lost their shape a bit in that left, I thought. It never really looked like it was coming fluently out there when Dill's roaming on that edge. That opens it up for Marzu. So me and you both, Greg the leg, Greg gave me no third leg Marzu this week. 38, he's been phenomenal this year, so that's a hold. They got pretty dominated by the end of that game, and they weren't really getting those opportunities too much. So happy to see what he produces next week. And stay patient, Ponga fans. What do you think of his performance?
Mate, he looked off. He looked really off. Pass happy. He just wasn't up and about. It was kind of concerning. It was such a juxtaposition to last week. I mean, I hate to speculate, obviously, Dylan, but it looked like something was going on, like maybe an off the field thing. I hate to talk out of turn here, but he just did not look like himself out there last night. I don't think like the Tigers are doing like a crazy job on him or anything like that. He was just walking around a lot, and yeah, it wasn't. One thing that was really good about the Titans last week is he was like popping up on both sides, looked hungry for the ball, was counting numbers, and hence the 3 try assists, whatever it was. But yeah, I thought last night was kind of just shoveling it on. A weird game, but
mate, as long as I know a lot of long-suffering Knights fans, and it definitely more so improved in the last 18 months, mate. But before that, he had a tendency to do that very often, and I know Knights fans would get so frustrated to go to Queensland, tear our hearts out being Blues fans. You go back to the Knights and kind of look disinterested in games. So, look, he's had such a great start to the year. They've got a bye this week. But then coming back from that, if you're a Ponga owner, you've got Titans, Bulldogs, Tigers, Sharks. I mean, when you're as good as Ponga, I think there's always going to be opportunities there. But, gee whiz, he didn't really look like doing much. And I think he also got a try assist last 5 minutes in the game to salvage that full number.
Oh, mate, yeah. Like, Ponga owners, especially those that captain him, that try assist into a goal right at the end there, that would have hit like heroin. It would have like crack. But yeah, no panic. I mean, he's averaged 100 going into this game. That's still a 80 something average for the year. So all good there. Cam win. Yeah, again, he's got Bradman Best, mate. Cam, if you win the 50K this year, I reckon, what do you reckon, Dylan? He's got to get the Bradman Best chain, get one made up for himself, because best is in about 1.9% of teams, and I think that's what Cam owes his.
Mate, if he wins, we'll be pulling up the Maxima at Golden Jubilee car park and fucking bringing back the 2014 days, baby. If you know, you know. Shout out Dirt. Shout out Luma.
Shout out Luma. Yeah, shout out to
shout out Luma. I'm sure he's watching.
Shout out to JT, who just bought a house, and he's actually also chimed in on this stream. How are you, JT? He says, Brayley a sell, 39 points this week. Also, do we think the ship has sailed for a move to Starling? How about I'll tell you the Brayley thing. Look, he keeps playing 80. It's not as if Atkinson comes on and spells him or anything like that. But fuck, man, I think the theory, like with Brayley, who was 500 odd K going into the year, is that with AFB on, he might be able to sneak a couple more early try assists and then be a bridge to like Grant or something like that. But it's just not really happening for any hookers at the moment, is it? I mean, aside from, Starling and Mamo are your highest averaging hookers, and they're just tackling their asses off. The league seems to just kind of be scoring a lot of points on the edges at the moment. Not a lot of really room in the middle early in the season. I dare say that'll start to open up as the year progresses. But yeah, Brayley fans would be pretty filthy for paying that much money, hoping he'd get AFB over for a couple early try assists. Even though I believe he got robbed of one in Vegas. Anyway, whatever. If I own Brayley, yeah, that downgrade to Starling looks pretty good, doesn't it? I mean, Starling's going to be about 100K cheaper than him this week. Probably going to give you the same output. Would you like that trade if it was giving you 100K cash flow? It does feel a bit sidewaysy in points, but fuck, you'll take the 100, won't you?
Yeah, I think this week showed a lot of people just with the injuries and how crazy it was is, you know what, like ideally you don't want to do sideways trades, but you need to keep the scoreboard ticking over. You need to keep making sure you've got quality guys. I've already learned that this week, kind of freeing up some cash, which is good for my long game, mate. But then this week I suffered, if not for a Ruben Garrick, masterclass. I'm posting sub 1,000. So I think if you do have Brayley and you've got the flexibility this week to still downgrade him, could be via someone depending on how your team looks, but I'd be looking at getting rid of Brayley, and that means that there's a Mamo in there, there's a Starling, and there's someone you don't have. So I'd look at the options, and if that cash can be better spent, get into a Tino or a Haas, then 100% I'd be doing that. Yeah,
JT, I also don't mind the idea of Mamo, mate, if you don't already have him. Obviously, Starling's going pretty good guns, but he's in a minute share situation with Owen Paddy, who did Canberra look better today with Paddy out there? I mean, that's not going to be a popular opinion in the SuperCoach world, but, does he start to eat more into his minutes? Mamo's got no competition at South. I mean, they're carrying fucking Bud Sullivan on the bench, aren't they?
A mid-season cheese could change that. I've been one of that, mate, as a long-suffering Bunnies fan, mate. A bit of mid-season cheese could really throw Mamazulos.
Oh, right. Yeah, mate. You can have him. Big Daddy chimes in. This is the year of cheap hookers, boys. Usually of the Cambodian or Ugandan variety. But now it's Memo and Starling. Why doesn't my dad love me? You want to analyze that one?
Yeah, I mean, look, early signs are pointing to the hog chat. He's your dad. Maybe he's not comfortable with how much you're bringing it up. Yeah, you had that one-time experience with him, but that you guys don't talk about that anymore, not in front of mum. So, yeah, look, it is the year of the cheap hookers.
What are your thoughts on Cambodian or Ugandan? I mean, do you like a little bit of spice or a little bit of black magic?
Yeah, you've kind of caught me red-handed there, mate. I'm just more focused on why Big Daddy's dad doesn't love him and trying to solve that riddle, mate. You've thrown me through a loop on the other one. I'll probably need more time to come up with a HR.
You need a bit more time to go to the fridge and get another edible. Hooker 2 is Sanders. We could defo move Mamo. Yeah, I think Mamo should play JT. He's going to score similar points to Starling, but he's also cheaper, like marginally. I think it's 50K, but fuck, man, you'll be filthy if you go
Mamo this week as well. Keep in mind you've still got one more of that rolling 100 as well. That'll stick around for the following price rise. So, the one that's dropping off is the 37. So if there's a time to get in, it would be now.
Cam has to get a best tattoo. Cam has to get a best buyer's tattoo if he wins the 50K. I wouldn't rule that one out. Cam is yet to ink his temple, his body, but I'm sure he could be talked into it down at Bondi Ink for $110 an hour. Don't you think? That's pretty much all of the games so far. I guess we could jump into that Broncos one. Payne Haas is 140. Mate, you don't have him in. I mean,
he's coming in this week. Yeah.
How are you going to get him in? Is what I'm asking.
Do we know what he's going up?
Yeah, quite a lot. So his break even was 9 going into this week. Mate, he'll be going up about 100K.
Okay. Do we know how much Naf White's going up?
Yeah, but are you telling me you're going to be trading Naf White?
Potentially, if it means getting in Payne Haas, mate.
Fuck yeah, it's a fair point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm now thinking it's points, isn't it? Naf White's not putting up 80 every week.
Speak for yourself. No, he's
What's Naf White's increase?
Well, his break even was 17, so he's going up it'll be about 430, and he'll have a 80 in his rolling average. I think Naf White's probably knocking on the door of 600 within the next 3 weeks.
I'll have to analyze it, mate. But yeah, Payne Haas. If you're someone like myself who has a Terrell May, Corey Horsburgh combo, you're not getting rid of either of those guys. I've got a Naf White on the bench, who's pretty much my only moving piece. If that means sacrifice growth from him, but getting in those points, I don't want to miss the Payne Haas train. You know what? Call Naf White. Thank you for your services. You've been great here at the orphanage, but I need Payne Haas. If you're in my position, knowing that those are the options, are you probably doing the same thing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking the same thing with Bullymore to Tino.
Yeah, mate. It's that's much of a muchness between those two boys. I think we spoke about it this year, and it becomes really tricky. You're trying to juggle the right balls, mate, and kind of think, I'm still probably going to get the price rise I may lose on Naf White. I'm still going to get from Haas anyway. So I'm trading in someone who's rising, but someone who's going to be a season-long keeper. So, look, there's going to be some situations this year where we may have to bite the bullets on those early increases, but if it means getting in a premium player when you believe that they're at a premium price, he's not going down much. My God,
mate, I think there's a fair argument to suggest he's going to be the top. Well, he'll definitely be the top scoring forward in SuperCoach. Can he be the top averaging player in SuperCoach? I mean, mate, he's basing fucking 90. Yeah, the other day, 28 tackles, 11 tackle breaks, so he's already up to 50. 16, 4 offloads, Jugas. He's up to 66 now.
I think he's almost. You can't not have him. I just don't think you can afford to not have him. If that means, and there might be a lot of other guys in that position with me at the moment who have that. Terrell May and Corey Horsburgh, you're not getting rid of either of them. You're probably in a lucky position if you have maybe a Naf White or someone in that bench. Hopefully not two Nuffies if you've got no ways of getting to Payne Haas. Otherwise, you're in a bit of a confused situation.
Could you trade Seyfarth via White to Haas?
Yeah, but Haas only has front rower, right? Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because Naf has the dual status, doesn't he?
That's the trade to make for you, I reckon. Yeah. Because White's going to make a fuckload of money given that 80 odd. I mean, obviously Seyfarth will go up a little bit as well, but you could get the same points out of White as what you do Seyfarth.
Yeah, but that opens up a bigger conversation. I've got also Hopgoods and some other ones in there, you know what I mean? So, having that dual status with Naf actually. But, yeah, man, getting back to that Bronx game, again, Payne Haas, unbelievable. Paddy Carrigan has been good, but for owners, he's just kind of doing what Paddy Carrigan does, doesn't he? 60, 80, 60, 80, 65, 90. Never really misses. Where do you see him?
Playing to his price point, yeah. For sure. How happy were you watching Shibasaki go around again this week?
Mate, Shibasaki looked very good as well. Funny enough, obviously he will be the man to drop out for Stags unless, Dean Mariner or someone gets the tap on the shoulder. Looking like it obviously will be Shibasaki, but he's looked good. So, he's not someone I'm desperate to get rid of. He's only another injury away from a game and a price rise. That will depend on the makeup of your team and how you're trying to free things up. But, yeah, he looked really good. Jesse Arthur's made another 62. I know you didn't buy him. You actually held off from that one, I believe.
No, I brought him in. I held off buying him at the start of the year. I decided Bullymore would be a better option, and who's laughing now, I guess.
Probably still Jesse Arthur's. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly. Give me tonned up the first fortnight. Yeah, that was awesome. Great to see Walsh, assist Arthur. That was a points bonanza. That sent me into one of the great autistic tailspins of all time. That I think I drank the rest of my rosé. And then, yeah, look, I just on Shibasaki, mate, I heard some, I could be wrong, but I think Mariner's hurt or he's like, there's something going on with him. And maybe I read it in passing, but I think Shiba's safe, let alone, mate, I thought he was really good the other night.
He was really good.
Probably memeing him a little bit much in our group chat there, saying, hey, his
Yeah,
days
he's
are
become
numbered.
a bit like that. But, I still remember Shibasaki running around for a Knights team, circa 4 or 5 years ago, and he was a solid player. So he's not really the scrub who's coming in, man. He's been around. He's been to a few clubs. So he gets through a bit of a work rate as well. Like that, I don't think there's too many attacking stats within that 60. So, yeah, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, there was no attacking stats, mate. Yeah, 10 tackles, 8 tackle breaks, a line break, and he had plenty of runs, 17 runs, which you'd love from a center. That's almost Herbie Farnworth kind of areas. But I also saw like a post game Joey Johns. He goes in the sheds and like catches them starkers, and they're all like, "Oh no, like don't. What's this all about?"
Yeah,
and Shiba was like, "Yeah, I was a bit of an idiot when I was younger, but I've smartened up a little bit now." And he's just locked in. Deluxe, great rig on him as well, Dylan. Great rig. He was about to get into an ice bath, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have minded hopping in the ice bath with him and running my eyes over what he's working with there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, mate. If we had those sizes of what they're working with, geez, it'd make it easy to pick your SuperCoach team, mate. Just the data that we're dying out for. So.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm like Big Daddy's hog. Nothing else in the Broncos. Hetherington continues to. If you got Hetherington, you can move him on 38. He's a dud. Gojevski scored a try, 32.
32 with a try. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. From the Cows, Talangi, not relevant. Purdue, 67. How'd you feel?
Real shining light. I got rid of him for Tamale, which kind of now I'm like, fuck, was that needed? But tough day at Manly, man. Purdue looks like a shining light. I think one of the commentators said it watching the game, and I tended to agree. I think they spoke about saying Duffy, Purdue, and Clifford. They reckon Duffy's the true footballer there. So, it's going to be interesting to watch what they do with that spine. Obviously, no one's locked in. But Purdue, man, I think he'll definitely just keep retaining his spot in that 17. He's been one of their shining lights. So if you've got Purdue, unfortunately, I moved off him. Last week, it kind of seemed like the move with Tamale. I'm still he's still going to go up a fuckload in cash. But if you've got Purdue and you hold on through that first 2 weeks, I'm quietly pretty happy with him. He's the only one from the Cows that I really have any equity in at this point.
Do you, as a bit of a cash grab, do you kind of go back to Purdue with your tail between your legs, trading out Skelton for Purdue? Could you do that, or are you too proud?
I hadn't thought of it, mate, but it's such a good point. Yeah,
140K.
The move could definitely be there to be done.
He's probably not going
to. He did look good, man. He's not going to go up too much. I've got an RTS, and do we know an update injury on RTS? It's going a bit off topic here, but
no, 4 weeks.
Nothing?
I always just assume with a hammy it's 4.
Because obviously, if I've got RTS and Skelton, I'm going to have to be making some moves. So yeah, Purdue. If I have to go back to my tail between my legs, I'm not too mad about it. And the good thing is he shouldn't go up too much this week. Well, he might go up, 20K, 25K?
Mate, I did that with Lockie Galvin twice last year. I went back to him and said, sorry, Lockie, I didn't mean to trade you out. And then I ended up buying him back for like 150K more.
Yeah, mate, well, you told me, I think that's one of the biggest things this year. Like, man, we're not going to get every call right. 4 to 6 weeks for RTS. Thank you, Boxzilla. So, yeah, if you're in the same boat as me, and I'm sure there would be people, I've got, Skelton and RTS. That could be a combined, 6 weeks. Plus, I've got Dill Lucas. I've got Cleary, head knock, Watson, head knock. So, this week for me is not, cool, where am I trying to improve? It's going, cool, how can I make sure I keep points on the field? I'm still trying to get guys that are moving up
Yep.
So, yeah, it's an interesting week, but Purdue definitely an option. I don't think his job's in any jeopardy. I think Tamale's job, funny enough, after everything is now in more jeopardy, just because, Ricky, he'll probably react. I'd be shocked if Albert Hopewadi came back in this week. But, when Rick Noble goes off, no one's safe.
Scapegoat season. Where do you reckon the name Boxzilla derives from, by the way?
I believe it's a type of Colombian coffee bean.
Oh. I would assume he's like a muncher of note, but anyway.
Could also be that, mate.
Let's go Drinkwater 52. Again, like with Fafita, love seeing these scores out of these boys. They'll be right for the picking at some point. Robert Derby, he came onto the radar. He's 214K. He made his debut this week. 34, all in base. Another one just to kind of keep in the back of the mind with your other sick thoughts, SuperCoach and non-SuperCoach related. So good to keep an eye on these fellas. Jeremiah Nanai, 20. Yeah, not much doing from the Cows, just like last week. Last couple of games we'll get to is the Wars, who beat my Roosters. You know, it's looking like a pretty hard place to play over there, isn't it, New Zealand? Like, teams kind of just go to water when it's greasy and the drums are playing and Tiffany Salmon, Tits McGee's on the sideline. What are your thoughts there, mate? It looks like whoever goes over there is not going to be too playable, especially the attacking players.
Man, where do you start with that game? It's so hard to know what to take out of that. Obviously, massive win for NAF White owners like myself. Fire the fuck up. Him scoring was huge. Someone got ruled out during that game, I believe. You also had Lindsay Collins out, so yeah, he's a special in that pack at the moment. Aside from that, man, if you're Warriors owners, like, obviously RTS, the decision is made for you, mate. But Metcalf, I know I've already spoken about it, but I'm not urgently looking to trade him out this week, but just them winning 14-6 and really controlling that type of game, unless it's a really open game and there's points everywhere, you just struggle to see where Metcalf gets his points from week to week. There's just no base in his performance, so it's a really tough watch when he's out there.
I think he's priced like really well, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, well, he's another Adam Dewey, isn't he? Like, him and Dewey, I'm kind of looking at the same, different positions, but the same type of vibes, man. Like, when you've got someone with a bit of X factor, you go into that game kind of excited, mate, and you're checking Metcalf score every 10 minutes and, turning the Wi-Fi on and off because you don't think the score's updating. Shock orange. So, yeah, it's just not a fun watch, man. Like, as soon as I'm upgrading my team with cash generation later in the year, he's one of the first guys I fuck off. But at this point in time, like, it is what it is. Whether you play him or not is another question.
Mate, I actually, at one point this week, again, I've traded out half my team. I actually had Metcalf to Eli Katoa locked in, so that's a move I'll definitely make in a couple of weeks. They've got the West Tigers this week, the Wars, and then they have a bye and then they play Melbourne. So I think if you're going to get rid of Metcalf, it's probably going to be after this Tigers game. His break-even will still be pretty low this week, given he's 100 and plenty in the rolling average. But this might be like his one and only price rise, unfortunately. If you can still get 500K out of him, you'll take it. You know what I mean? That's a good result because then it's only 200K to 700K, I think. 5 plus 2 is 7. Look into it. And that's good, Sweet. Like, I had an experience. Wasn't great. I'm not exactly going to wake up and take him out for bacon egg roll, am I? In the future, but got a couple of steamy nights. But yeah, he's certainly got to go at some point. Ali Lawatia from the Waz scored a double, 95.
He was someone I wanted to. He's someone I wanted to speak about, mate. He is.
Go for it.
He's the definition of a pod, isn't he, bro? Like, I know a lot of people were really high on him at the start of the year, and there was a bit of chatter, and then people got fairly scared off after putting up a 33, but then looked really good against Manly in a game which they dominated on and off, and then. Man, just when he gets that ball, he runs a hard line. He makes the other guys look like they're absolute amateurs trying to bring him down. He's a big boy. So, yeah, I think he's someone who consistently be posting these 95 games, man. He's definitely one to watch. I like him a lot.
Paddy chimes in for the first time tonight. How are you, Paddy? Paddy says, all right, so I know I'm late, but where's the hair dyeing, boys? Well, that may also explain Socko's absence, given he is a clown, and he's probably out there getting the old Sean Sugar O'Malley treatment. What do you reckon?
Well, mate, out of me, you and Socko, I can confirm that pre-update Socko is on the lowest score out of all of us. Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a hair dye, but Socko will be doing something next week if he returns.
Absolutely. Kel Elder chimes in, going on to the Melbourne game. I think we can probably leave the Roosters. Crichton unders, that's good. Bring him down. Victor Radley somehow goes back on the field. Oh, yeah. So actually, there's a couple more things. Watson, fuck, man, sad.
Is that will he miss next game now? Yeah, it's shit. He's been looking really
you can't get rid of him. He's such a valuable trade piece, especially with that ability with Metcalf to go via Sandon. And
well, yeah, I was about to say good question because I believe this is one that I think a lot of gibbers will have. If you have Connor Watson, are you trading him out?
No, nor am I trading Cleary. You cop 1 week, but if it's an RTS, Skelton, again, it's not even urgent to trade RTS and Skelton. There might be bigger issues such as like Isako with 150 break even, and he might move off quicker. But yeah, I'd say Watson. Nah, no way. Like, mate, 30. What was it? Half time when he got hurt. He's a gun.
Half-time. Oh no, I think it was around the half.
One guy that was pretty disappointing was Robert the Truth Poyer. I looked like he copped the knock a bit early in the game, and he just never really kind of got going. 26 points, 3 handling errors, didn't make a tackle break or 1 tackle break. Yeah, it was a rookie's performance, wasn't it?
It was kind of his welcome to the NRL game, unfortunately. Towards the end, he just looked a little bit rattled, man. And like, you watch the Warriors, man, they were bashing you guys for a bit in there, and you were bashing back as well. But those boys hit hard. They've got some big backs, excluding Tua Picky. But yeah, man, they were just putting some shots on. Toya just looked a bit frazzled. He tried to throw a few offloads. It wasn't really his night. But look, when you've got halves of Sandon Smith and Chad Townsend, and you're playing in Mount Smart or whatever the fuck their stadium's called now, you're going to get those performances. So as a Toya fan, man, he still put the gloves up and was trying hard, but wasn't his night. Sandon Smith, mate, one of the few good decisions I made this week. Earlier in the week, I had him in my reserves and did not have Naf White playing. You actually messaged me that Lindsay Collins was ruled out. Put the reserve on Naf White. Felt better about not playing Sandon Smith. That's going to be a Rocks or Diamonds play. He's got a lot of cash gen in him, so you're not getting him out of your team. You'd be an idiot if you did. But playing him week to week, man, unless it's Roosters versus someone that they're maybe going to smash, which this year is hard to tell when those games are going to be. Like years, I'm not starting Smith with any confidence. So I'm glad I avoided that little trap this week.
Yeah, it's the CBD, CBD oil, 2110. What's postcode is that? Is that, Claymore? Year of the Big Boppers, Jay or Nay. Shout out to our man, Fahu White. Yeah, I think to echo your point there, Dylan, anytime I'm met with a 50-50, like we see this question come up quite a lot in the Gibbers, is like, who do I play tonight? Is it going to be, a fucking Tamale or a Sandon or a White or a Bullymore to a lesser extent? No one really says that one, but go with the forwards. I think it's the rule, right? Like go with the safety of the forwards.
Yeah, mate. I think
in
that first week, the backs really created a false sense of security for us. First week was very center win heavy. Every single cheapie, every single gun was just doing their thing. Forwards were getting 40 and 50, and then it always evens back out, doesn't it? We're all going, oh man, so much upside. And then this week you've got your Rob Toya scores, your Asako scores. A lot of those backs showing that, yes, look, although it is tempting to throw an R on a Sandon Smith, unless you've really got a good feeling and they're opposing somebody else, your Naf White is a safer option. So, look at Payne Haas, Tino could be year of the Big Boppers.
Fucking oath, mate. Listen, Haas, Tino, Horsburgh, May. Set and forget those big boys. Then you get Nafahu White, who someone mentioned in the comments before, can easily be flipped to AFB in 3 weeks. We're just going to be absolutely foaming at the mouth with big thickies. Tedesco 58 again. Love to see that. He's going to be a lock in at some point, probably around that Origin period. I'd say had a break even 130 going to this week, so he'll drop plenty. Admittedly, he was 920k, given he averaged 94 last year. So that's good, but nothing else really apart from the Chooks, Angus Crichton unders. The final game, Dylan, was the one that happened on Thursday. Do you remember what happened?
Mate, what a game. I was in a different dimension.
Was, right? Yeah.
Time. But, mate, just, you know what? Like, that was a fun game as a league fan to watch. You had the Cleary and Hughes thing at the start. You're thinking, fuck, this could be anything. And then you got some of those young boys, Jenkins, Jack Cole had a really great game.
Yep.
Just as a footy fan, it was one where, regardless of what players they had, mate, I was just enjoying watching those two heavyweights go at it. But some takeaways from that, I know we'll message in between. This Melbourne side this year, man, it could be really hard to pick. They're so stacked. There's so many mouths to feed within that attack. I'll start with Eli Katoa. Even him scoring early, mate, I thought he could really go on and post a huge score. 77 with a try. It's still a good outing, but, I'm happy with it. But I think just with some of these Melbourne performances, and the same thing against the Eels, when you're watching it, it feels like an 100, 110 score, but then you just look at how many names they have across that pitch, and it's really hard for one person to dominate that on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, as proven by Harry Grant so far this season, he pumped out 26 on the weekend.
Yeah,
Harry
crazy
Grant,
scenes.
after doing a 50, a 60 against Para in a humping. Yeah, chef's
Mm.
in the kitchen. Eli Katoa, I will note, as per our physio, that he went up for a catch at one point, probably with 20 to go, I reckon. And do you remember that Jack Bostock injury in the preseason where he kind of like twinged his knee midair?
Mhm.
Whatever, a bit niche, but yeah, I reckon it could be some type of MCL situation.
Oh, fairly.
Yeah, look, he taped it up, played the rest of the game. He looked a little bit hampered. His work rate then diminished a little bit. But yeah, one thing to keep an eye on for Team List Tuesday for sure, guys. And then also just look at his movements, look at the strapping situation. I don't know. Like, I won't jump at Ellie this week, but if he gets through this week against Saints, okay. He's still going to be around that 750K, maybe a bit less even. And then, yeah, it's a pretty easy move from Metcalf if you've got the cash in the bank, isn't it? Then you can set it and forget. Eli Katoa, not really a lot of 2RFs jumping out at us at the moment. I mean, obviously, Olakawatu, Hudson Young, they did pretty well today. But Ellie's going to be in that top 5 bracket, 2RFs. Another guy that's meant to be in the top 5 bracket, 2RFs, is Isaiah Yeo, 56. He did 40-odd the week before after going really well in Vegas. Did you pay much attention to Isaiah Yeo's game? Is there anything that you noted there?
Yeah, I think that's a weird one for him, man. Like with Cleary going out, he kind of just took himself to be, I think, less of a workhorse role and really just try and make sure they still had that same shape. Everyone knows with that fucking Penrith dynasty, man, it's kind of next man up mentality. So him dropping back, if I'm a Yo owner, I'm not panicking about that. He played a different role that night. He's still going to get your points week in, week out. To show what a class player he is, SuperCoach aside, man, because he really does kind of helped along Jenkins and a lot of those other guys. Jenkins 91, mate, also a standout. I know you were huge on obviously bringing Dane Laurie in prior to him being ruled out, but mate, Jenkins, no slouch at all. Don't think he'll be staying around though, unfortunately.
Speaks more to the fact that, it's champion DNA. This is a guy in their depth charts. He would have lingered around your Edwards and your Lauries all preseason, learning off the best, even Toto, this whatever kind of influence at training and something like that to step up. There was one moment actually I remembered where he and Alamotti maybe butchered a kick and they dropped it, and Melbourne, I don't know, he just gave him a look where he kind of smiled. He was like, "That's all right, fella," even though Alamotti is a more experienced guy. Just really like that. It was just a little thing that I was like, Tom Jenkins, I'll have a cup of coffee with you one day, maybe. Another guy that's going to be really interesting, Dylan, is Ryan Pappenhausen. So what's his name? Nick Meaney with the jaw. He's going to be out for six, I believe, give or take. Means Pappy most likely gets the kicking. He pumped out a 66, including a try and a try assist. He missed a couple of goals there. You know the way I'd describe Pappenhausen, Dylan?
Mm-hmm.
This is courtesy of Max Bryden. Is Reece Walsh with the kicking.
Yeah, dude, it's a great analogy, mate. Pappy was someone that I was speaking about last week. It was between him and Gutho anyway, and I wanted another week, mate. But I think with Nick Meaney being out, him taking the kicking, man, Penrith are dangerous. Remember, even though, yes, it was a 30-24 game, before this season started, everyone was looking at this game going, oh, okay, I don't want my Penrith players for the Storm game for the Penrith players. So they're still championship DNA teams. In a normal scenario where Penrith were Penrith and you're a Pappy owner and you got 66 against Penrith, you're going, fucking oath, we'll take that. So, mate, a bit more responsibility. I already liked Pappy. He's sitting at what? A touch over 600, 616.
Cheapest chips, mate.
He's now got a rolling average of 131. He's got a 131 and a 66 in the rolling average. My team is pretty weird. I've got Tamale. I've got Ruben Garrick at my flex. I'm going to move that around and I'll be bringing in Pappenhausen to my flex this week. That's pretty much all but confirmed.
Yeah, just on Pappy. Last season was a tale of two halves for him. Up until he got injured, he averaged 73. That was across his first 7 games, I believe. And then he kind of had an 11 and a 3 and a 48. He then finished season averaging 63. So basically his season was averaging low 70s and then low 50s. He plays for the Melbourne Storm, who, listen, I don't think either of us have any Storm players at the moment, right?
No, and I mean, Jack Howarth I saw as a comment before someone asked about Jack Howarth. He kind of crashed back to earth. he crashed back to earth this week, mate. So like, I want to buy into some of that Storm energy. I like having it spread. Obviously, Harry Grant's going to become super attainable in the near future. Yeah, I do want to own a Storm player. Good question. I know someone reached out with the Jack Howarth after his 39. Where do you stand on that? Is he still on the menu?
Again, like the Penrith rule. I know Melbourne scored 30, but Penrith still defended okay. Like it was an early onslaught. I think it was 18 zip pretty quickly. Yeah, no. I mean, Howarth's priced at 40, so if he can still do a 40 without any attack, like you'll take that. You're not buying him for his base. You're buying him for the upside, and he's already proven the upside. Would I bring him in? Probably not going to be able to make it work. Personally, and we can probably move into trades now, I reckon, Dylan. For me, huge interest in Pappenhausen, especially because he's priced at 60. He's going to be goal kicking in the best offense in the league, and he's also a pretty handy try scorer. He'll get over every week or so. You'll set him up. He's going out the right, at the back of shape. Nice try assist out to who was it? Coates maybe on the wing, and then he'll pop up on the left, pop up through the middle. Yeah, huge interest in Pappenhausen. Then the other two that I'm really interested in, Clint Gutherson, probably for the same reasons as the next guy, Christian Tuipulotu. Gutho's got a negative 50-year break even. He's playing both sides of the ruck. They do play Melbourne this week, but, mate, he's going to be 800K before we know it. And that's an incredible launching pad to even Latrell in a couple of weeks. Latrell will come back in round 5. His price won't change until round 8. So you could theoretically get Gutho in for like 2 or 3 weeks. And by the time he's peaked, you can then downgrade or even sideways to Latrell. That's a pretty good result, don't you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people this week will be tossing up between looking at Gutho, looking at Pappy. I think those are probably the two hot property guys out fullbacks. Obviously, both only played 2 games. So whoever you get on this week, you can't lose in that regard. I know I'll be bringing in one of those guys. It probably feels a stretch too far to try and bring in both for me, just with the outlook of my team. You do want them all, but I don't think I can. So I think one of my trades, I'll probably be boosting again this week, all but definitely.
Absolutely. Bad week to be a boost.
I think for me, it's probably either Gutho or Pap. I think I'm probably leaning slightly more towards Pap, but I can't really fault anyone for doing either of those. Payne Haas has to come in if you're not a Payne Haas. And I've just realized as well, mate, I've actually got Dylan Lucas that I can probably shift out to bring in Payne Haas.
Easy.
That takes care of one. The other areas everywhere, obviously I've got a Tuivasa, Sheck, and a Skelton. One of them will definitely be the one making way in the flex to welcome in either Gutho or Pappy. Regarding my other trade, mate, who knows? Some different things I'll have to look at, but those are the two that are my kind of definites and need to be made. What about you? What are you leaning towards?
Yeah, no, big interest in Pappy for sure. Just want a little bit of a piece of that Melbourne pie. Obviously, Katoa is a target, but love the upside of Pappenhausen. Again, I was happy enough to pay $750 for Walsh. I can pay $600K for Pappy. I'll probably do that. I'll probably even sell Walsh to him, to be honest. I don't know. Have to figure that out. Maybe Skelton to him. Gutho, big interest in him, given the break even. And Christian, the money man, Tuipulotu, who no longer will be doing the celebration, which I personally hate. I think that even kind of lessens your SuperCoach value in a way. Hard to quantify that. But he's got to be looked at as well. If it's between Gutho and Tuipulotu, I'm going to go Gutho. It's always good to get the fullback in because they play both sides of the ruck. You could very easily have a week where it doesn't go left. But Tuipulotu's break even is going to be pretty hard to refuse. And then for me, Jaden Campbell. I know we disagree on that point, but mate, I'm just sick of this 5-8 roulette that I've already played. I've had Metcalf in there. I've got Brimson in there. Dewey's there. Metcalf's my second halfback at the moment. I want 2, if not all of those guys gone at some point soon. Campbell's probably going to be as cheap as he's going to be for a while with that 115. He plays the Chooks. We've leaked a few tries this year. Probably as cheap as he's going to be for a while. I don't want to get to a point where Campbell's 825K and he's looking the goods and I just have no way to get to him. So it's similar to my theory with Haas last week. I was like, fuck, yeah, okay, I'm going to have to get rid of Lucas. That was an easy move to make, but it's like, can I just is Haas going to be as cheap as it's ever going to be this week? And I think the answer is yes. And I think we're going to find the same thing with Campbell, mate, in that position. So that's pretty much it for me, man.
Yeah, the other thing I will say about trades as well is I've still got Cleary on my radar.
Yep.
Yes, he's only gone for a week, but just, the thing is as well, Hines won't play Origin. We know that. He's going to be out during the Origin period. I'm getting a sense just from watching those games that Hines is going to put up more points consistently. I think Penrith will still win games. I think Sharks will score more points. So, it's a big week of decisions when it comes to the trades. Obviously, address what needs to be addressed, but yeah, man, Cleary versus Hines, that's definitely on my radar as well.
Well, listen, in summary, Dylan, I think all you need to do in order to make that decision is do what I did an hour and a half ago, which is honestly flowing by. Time flies when you're gummed up. And Cam asked me, Dagger the Cummy, how she tastes. She tasted great, mate. I don't know if I'm going to have another one in my immediate future. What about yourself, Dylan? Any plans to finish yourself off for the weekend, or has the damage been done?
I've got to work on Monday, and I've got training tomorrow night, so I don't plan rocking up as a space cadet, which I probably still will after a bit of blowback by the weekend. But mate, great weekend, great rugby league. To summarize, mate, a very weird week. Again, the top scorers, man. Like if you came out of this week with a 1200, you can hold your fucking bat high. Hold your Jason Fraser 2 Coke can high. You've escaped well, mate. Get them by with 1,040. Hopefully next week we see less injuries or more injuries to pods that I don't have. Either way, I'll take it. But yeah, mate, it's been a pleasure recapping the week's events with none other than yourself and no Socko. So fuck Socko.
Fuck Socko, and I have 6 words to finish. You ready?
Go for it, mate.
Fuck the Phantom. Fuck the bookies.